Can I invite everybody to take a seat para naman po tayong punished? Ang idol lang po natin si Mr. Makasayat ang dapat tinitindigan habang nagsasalita. Anyway, Mr. Ramado Jake Makasayat, Chairman Publisher, Malaya Business Insight. Mr. Alan Makasayat, President of Malaya Business Insight. There are members of the Cabinet here present, members of Congress, officers and staff of the Malaya Business Insight, my fellow workers in government, honored guests, mga minamahal ko po kababayan, magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. And today we celebrate 28 years of the Malaya Business Insight. In almost 3 decades, you must have covered tens of thousands of stories. But I distinctly remember Malaya being at the center of one of the most important stories in the lives of many Filipinos. A time when a dictator tried to hide the truth from the people. Those of you of a certain age will recall that media in those days was under the control of the Ministry of Information, which had sworn to serve the people but instead made it their job to suppress information about the real state of the country. As a student, I was made to read newspapers and be informed of current events. But during martial law, what you could only be sure of as true in the papers then is the date and the movie listings, because the rest of it was undoubtedly propaganda. Those who would not submit, oppositionists like my father and Pepe Jocno, and journalists like Chino Roses, Max Sullivan, Nap Rama, and Teodoro Locsin, were high up on the order of battle and were locked up without due process so that the truth could be hidden. During this time, Joe Burgos opened a small newspaper, We Forum. It became an exemplar of what was called the mosquito press, referring to those few that dared to chronicle the terrible difficulties that the Filipino people endured under a dictatorship, and empowered, in turn, our people by educating them as to the true state of the nation. We Forum, and later Malaya, was a catalyst in this historic struggle. It was one of the very few voices brave enough to report, amongst other things, my father's murder, and trigger the eventual demise of the dictatorship. Malaya is a continuation of that proud heritage. In the midst of darkness, your newspaper was there to bring forth light and to tell the truth. We are not just celebrating 28 years of Malaya today. We are celebrating freedom, the freedom of the people and of the press, to be made aware of events that affect their lives. Today, we commemorate how Malaya, together with the Filipino people, chose to fight back and rebuild an alien country. When I was invited to this gathering, I told myself, how could I say no to Manong Jake, who is one of the pillars of the Philippine media? And I did mention to him, perhaps God in his infinite plan really gives us clusters of really outstanding people. I noted his birth year, which I will not mention, but it is a few years apart from those of my parents. And also, how can I possibly say no to this opportunity to pay tribute to the many heroes of the dark martial law era? The EDSA revolution is proof of the media's power and influence, how it can affect change in a society and expose those who have abused their positions. Media ultimately exists to guard our freedoms. Media asks the tough questions of our leaders, prompting them to do their jobs to the best of their abilities. And for that, we are grateful for your work. But just as the state is composed of human beings with their own needs and frailties, so too is your sector. And just as we call on those who lead us to be guided by the best ideals and principles, so must we take it upon ourselves to abide by those same principles. After all, just as elected officials need the people's trust to be effective, so does the media, powered by its credibility. The Filipino people need and deserve an honest and transparent media, one that makes it easier for all of us to work together and to achieve a high level of public discourse, which will, in the end, work for everyone's benefit. Gone are the days when the government could threaten and muscle the media. Today, the only restraint on the media is itself. Media has been given the power to a large degree to self-regulate. Could we, and I ask humbly, exercise that power more judiciously? Rest assured, I will continue to do my job and follow through on what I pledged to our people. At the same time, I am counting on you to remain the publication that our people can believe in. I also ask you to be fair, perhaps to me, yes, but more importantly, to the Filipino people. I wish more power to Malaya, Business Insight, and before I end, undoubtedly, with all of the good news that has come our way, especially from the business community, what you call your small newspaper now is undoubtedly going to grow and grow together with the country. Thank you and good evening.